Jake Martinez opened his eyes and saw nothing but white. The air smelled wrong, like metal and flowers mixed together. His head hurt badly and he could not remember where he was. The last thing he remembered was flying his cargo ship through space when everything went crazy with lights and spinning. He tried to sit up and felt something smooth and cold under his hands. It was not metal or plastic. It looked like glass, but it felt warm. Jake looked around and saw he was in a small room made of the same white material. Everything curved in strange ways that hurt his eyes to look at. Then he saw her. A woman lay on another glass bed next to him, but she was not human. Her skin was blue like the ocean on a sunny day. Silver lines ran across her face in patterns that looked like art. Her hair was long and white, almost glowing. She wore clothes that seemed to be made of light itself, changing colors when she breathed. Jake got up and walked over to her. She was breathing, so she was alive. That was good. He had no idea where they were, but being alone would be worse. He touched her shoulder gently. "Hey, wake up," he said. The blue woman's eyes opened. They were silver, like mirrors. She looked at Jake and said something in a language that sounded like music, but somehow Jake understood every word. "Who are you, strange one? Where are the Kethmaran?" Jake stepped back. He could understand her, but how? He had never heard this language before in his life. "I'm Jake," he said. "Jake Martinez. I don't know where we are. What are the Kethmaran?" The woman sat up quickly, her silver eyes wide with fear. "You do not know? They are the devourers. They feed on life itself." She looked around the white room. "We must leave this place now." She stood up and Jake saw how tall she was. Almost as tall as him, but she moved like a dancer. Everything about her was graceful and beautiful. "I am Princess Zara of the Veltar Empire," she said. "The Kethmaran captured us to drain our life force, but something went wrong with their machine." Jake felt different, stronger. His vision was sharper, and he could hear things he never heard before. Even his thoughts seemed clearer. "Yeah, I feel weird too," he said. "Like I got an upgrade or something." Princess Zara closed her eyes and put her hand to her head. "My telepathic abilities are much stronger now. I can sense minds across great distances." She opened her eyes and looked at Jake with surprise. "But I cannot read your mind at all." "It is like a wall of chaos," Jake grinned. "That sounds about right. My mom always said I had a messy brain." They heard a sound like metal scraping against metal. The white walls started to turn red. "They know we are awake," Princess Zara said. "We must escape now." Jake looked around the room. There was only one door and it was sealed shut. No windows. No air vents big enough to crawl through. But Jake had been fixing things since he was a kid. He always found a way. He walked to the wall and put his ear against it. He could hear humming, like electricity running through wires. "There's power running through these walls," he said. "A lot of power." Princess Zara looked confused. "Yes, but we cannot break through. These walls are made of living crystal, stronger than any metal." Jake smiled. "Who said anything about breaking through?" He pulled a small tool from his pocket. It was just a simple screwdriver, but Jake had used it to fix 1,000 different things. He found a spot where the wall curved and started poking at it with the tool. "What are you doing?" Princess Zara asked. "That will not work." "Maybe not," Jake said. "But my dad always told me that everything has a weak spot. You just have to think like the thing that built it wouldn't think." He kept poking until he found a small hole. He stuck the screwdriver in and twisted. Sparks flew out and the wall made an angry sound. "You are damaging their systems," Princess Zara said, but she sounded amazed instead of worried. "That's the idea," Jake said. He kept twisting until more sparks came out. The red lights in the room started flashing. Princess Zara put her hand on the wall and closed her eyes. "I can feel their machine's pain. It is confused. This kind of damage should not be possible." The door suddenly opened with a loud hiss. Jake pulled his screwdriver out and grinned. "Sometimes the best way to open a lock is to break the whole door," he said. They ran out into a long hallway made of the same white material. The walls were flashing red now and they could hear sounds like screaming metal coming from everywhere. "Which way?" Jake asked. Princess Zara closed her eyes again. "That way. I can sense an escape pod." They ran down the hallway as the ship shook around them. Jake saw things moving in the walls, dark shapes like worms or snakes. "The Kethmaran. They are coming," Princess Zara said. They reached a room with a small ship inside it. It looked like a silver egg with wings. Princess Zara ran to it and put her hands on its surface. The ship opened up like a flower. "Get in," she said. Jake jumped in after her. The inside was all soft curves and glowing buttons. Princess Zara touched something and the ship started moving. "Wait," Jake said. "I want to give our friends a goodbye present." He pulled out a small device from his tool belt. It was just a battery and some wires, but Jake had an idea. "What is that?" Princess Zara asked. "Portable power source," Jake said. He was connecting wires quickly. "If I hook it up to their power system wrong, it should make things very interesting." He threw the device out of the ship just as they flew out of the big ship. A few seconds later, there was a huge explosion behind them. Princess Zara stared at Jake as they flew away from the burning Kethmaran ship. "You made a bomb from a battery?" she asked. Jake shrugged. "I made a feedback loop. Their own power system did the rest." Princess Zara was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "My people believe humans are primitive and violent. But what you just did, no Veltar would think to break something to make it work better." "Sometimes," Jake said, watching the stars go by, "the best way to solve a problem is to cause a bigger problem somewhere else." Princess Zara laughed, a sound like silver bells. "I think, Jake Martinez, that you are going to cause a great deal of chaos in my world." Jake grinned. "Lady, you have no idea." The escape pod shook as it entered the atmosphere of Veltar Prime. Through the window, Jake could see a world that looked like someone had built cities out of crystal and light. Tall towers reached into purple skies connected by bridges that seemed to float in the air. "It's beautiful," Jake said. Princess Zara smiled, but she looked worried. "Yes, but landing here will cause many problems. You are the first human to visit our world." The ship landed in a garden filled with trees that had silver leaves. Before they could get out, dozens of Veltar soldiers surrounded them. They were all tall and blue-skinned like Princess Zara, wearing armor that looked like it was made of flowing water. "Princess Zara," one of them said, "you are safe." "But who is this alien?" "This is Jake Martinez," she said as they stepped out of the pod. "He saved my life." The soldiers looked at Jake like he was a dangerous animal. One of them spoke into a device on his wrist. Within minutes, more ships arrived. Jake found himself standing in a huge room made of white stone and gold. Tall Veltar in fancy robes sat on chairs that floated in the air. In the center stood an old Veltar with silver eyes that seemed to see everything. "I am Chancellor Dexani," the old one said. "Princess Zara, explain why you have brought this creature to our sacred world." Before Princess Zara could answer, Jake heard the sound of human ships landing outside. Through the huge windows, he could see 3 Earth military vessels setting down in the garden. Commander Alex Stone walked into the room a few minutes later. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his face. Behind him came Captain Lisa Rodriguez, a tough-looking woman with dark eyes. "I'm here for my pilot," Commander Stone said to the Veltar. "Jake Martinez is a citizen of Earth." Chancellor Dexani's face did not change. "This human has contaminated our princess with his presence. He must be studied to ensure he has not brought disease or violence to our world." "With respect," Captain Rodriguez said, "Jake is not a lab rat. He's coming with us." Jake could see this was going to turn into a fight. Both sides had weapons and both sides thought they were right. This was exactly the kind of mess Jake was good at fixing. "Hey," he said loudly. Everyone turned to look at him. "How about we all calm down? Princess Zara and I just escaped from aliens who wanted to eat our brains. Maybe we could focus on that instead of arguing about who owns me." Chancellor Dexani looked angry. "Humans are primitive and violent. Our records show they fight constantly and destroy their own planet." "Your records are old TV shows," Jake said. "Judge me by what I do, not by what you saw on some ancient broadcast." Before anyone could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the building. A Veltar soldier ran into the room. "Chancellor, our defense grid is failing. Some kind of virus is attacking our computer systems." Princess Zara went pale. "The Kethmaran. They must have infected our systems when we escaped." Jake watched as Veltar technicians tried to fix their computers. They worked in perfect order, following procedures that had probably been the same for thousands of years. But the virus was changing faster than they could adapt. "This is not working," Jake said. "Your system is too organized." "The virus knows how to beat organized." "Then what do you suggest, human?" Chancellor Dexani asked. Jake grinned. "Sometimes you have to fight crazy with crazy." He walked over to the main computer terminal. The Veltar technicians moved away from him like he had a disease. "What are you doing?" one of them asked. "Teaching your computer to think like a human," Jake said. He started typing commands that made no sense to the Veltar. Instead of following logical patterns, he introduced random elements. He made the system do things in the wrong order. He told the computer to be confused on purpose. "You are destroying our entire network," a technician said. "No," Jake said. "I'm teaching it to improvise." Princess Zara watched as Jake worked. She could feel his mind through their strange connection. His thoughts moved in patterns that seemed random but somehow made perfect sense. "I understand," she said suddenly. "Human thinking is not chaotic. It is adaptive. You change your approach based on what happens, not based on what should happen." The virus tried to adapt to Jake's changes, but it could not predict what he would do next because Jake did not know what he would do next. He was making it up as he went along. After 20 minutes of this, the virus gave up and disappeared from the system. "Impossible," Chancellor Dexani said. "How did you defeat something our best minds could not stop?" "Easy," Jake said. "I thought like something your virus had never seen before. I thought like a human." Commander Stone put his hand on Jake's shoulder. "Good work, son. Now let's get you home." But Princess Zara stepped forward. "Wait, the Kethmaran are coming. This virus was just the beginning. They will attack our worlds with everything they have." Captain Rodriguez frowned. "How do you know?" "Because," Princess Zara said, "they have never encountered anything they could not consume. Jake and I represent something new, something that scares them." Chancellor Dexani looked at Jake with new eyes. "Perhaps we have misjudged humans. This one showed our computers a new way to think." "Not a new way," Princess Zara said. "An old way. The way life thinks when it has to survive against impossible odds." Jake could see the wheels turning in everyone's heads. The Veltar were starting to realize that maybe humans were not as primitive as they thought. The humans were starting to understand that they were dealing with something bigger than a rescue mission. "So what do we do?" Commander Stone asked. "We learn from each other," Princess Zara said. "Fast, because the Kethmaran are coming and they will not make the same mistakes twice." Outside the windows, Jake could see more ships landing, both human and Veltar. War was coming and nobody was ready for it. "Well," Jake said, "this is going to be interesting." Chancellor Dexani almost smiled. "Human Jake Martinez, I begin to think that when you say interesting, you mean terrifying." Jake grinned back. "You're learning already." Captain Rodriguez activated her communicator. "All ships, this is Rodriguez. Prepare for extended deployment. We're not going home anytime soon." Princess Zara looked at Jake. "Are all humans like you?" "Worse," Jake said. "Most of them are way crazier than me." For the first time since they had met, Princess Zara looked scared, not of the Kethmaran, but of what was about to happen when her ordered world met human chaos. "May the ancestors help us all," she whispered. Jake patted her on the shoulder. "Don't worry, Princess. It'll be fun." Chancellor Dexani overheard this and shook his head. "I fear that the human definition of fun will be the end of us all." He was probably right. But as Jake watched the mixed fleet of human and Veltar ships preparing for war, he thought it might be a pretty good end. The Kethmaran came like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships were black and twisted, looking more like living things than machines. They moved in perfect formations, thousands of them, blotting out the stars. Jake stood in the command center of the Veltar capital, watching the invasion begin on the big screens. Around him, Veltar generals moved with calm precision, giving orders that followed battle plans written thousands of years ago. "Activate Defense Grid 7, War Marshal Kexnora commanded. "Deploy Fleet Formation Alpha. All units maintain standard attack patterns." Jake watched as the beautiful Veltar ships moved into perfect lines and began firing at the Kethmaran fleet. Their weapons were powerful and accurate. Every shot hit its target, it did not matter. The Kethmaran ships absorbed the energy and kept coming. "Their shields are adapting to our weapons," a technician reported. "Increase power to level 9, War Marshal Kexnora said calmly. General Kate Morrison, who had arrived with the latest human fleet, shook her head. "That's not going to work. They're learning from every shot you take." "Then what do you suggest, human?" War Marshal Kexnora asked. "Stop being predictable," Jake said. He was studying the enemy ships on the screen. "Look at how they move. Perfect formations. They expect you to follow your battle plans." Princess Zara, who had been watching silently, spoke up. "Jake is right. The Kethmaran are like a hive mind. They think we will act logically. We are acting logically," War Marshal Kexnora said. That's the problem, General Morrison said. Against these things, logic is a weakness. The first wave of Kethmaran ships reached the outer planets. Jake watched in horror as entire worlds went dark. Billions of life forms drained of energy in minutes. We have to do something different, he said. Something they won't expect. War Marshal Kexanora looked at the tactical display. Her perfect formations were being torn apart by enemies that adapted to every strategy faster than she could implement it. What do you propose? She asked. Jake grinned, but it was not a happy grin. Chaos. The next few hours were the strangest in Veltar military history. Jake worked with General Morrison to teach Veltar commanders how to throw away everything they knew about warfare. Don't form lines, Jake told a group of ship captains. Scatter like bugs when someone turns on the lights. Make them guess where you'll be next. This goes against every principle of space combat, one captain protested. Good, General Morrison said. The enemy knows all your principles. They don't know ours. Captain Lisa Rodriguez had brought a squadron of human ships that looked like they had been built in someone's garage. No two ships were the same. They moved in patterns that hurt to look at. Watch and learn, she told the Veltar pilots. Human Military Doctrine Lesson 1. If it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Jake found himself working directly with Princess Zara to coordinate the mixed fleet. Their telepathic connection had grown stronger, and she could translate his chaotic human thoughts into orders the Veltar could follow. Tell the 3rd Squadron to attack the enemy's left flank, Jake said. Then immediately retreat and attack from behind. That makes no tactical sense, Princess Zara said, but she was smiling. Exactly. The Kethmaran will expect them to press the attack or retreat completely. They won't expect a fake retreat followed by a real attack. The strategy worked. The Kethmaran ships paused, confused by the human tactics. In that moment of hesitation, the combined fleet struck hard, but the Kethmaran learned fast. By the 3rd battle, they were adapting to human unpredictability. They're getting smarter, General Morrison reported. We need something bigger. Jake had an idea, but it was crazy even by human standards. What if I went inside their hive mind? Everyone in the command center stopped what they were doing and stared at him. That is suicide, War Marshal Kexanora said. Maybe, Jake said. But I think I can plant a virus in their collective consciousness. Something that will confuse them from the inside. Dr. Amanda Pierce, the human xenobiologist who had arrived with the latest ships, shook her head. Jake, their hive mind would consume you in seconds. Not if I don't think like food, Jake said. What if I think like poison? Princess Zara grabbed his arm. No, I will not let you sacrifice yourself. I'm not planning to die, Jake said. I'm planning to be so annoying that they spit me back out. The plan was insane. Jake would use a modified Veltar telepathic amplifier to project his consciousness into the Kethmaran hive mind. Once inside, he would try to introduce human-style chaotic thinking into their perfect order. The device was not designed for human minds, the Veltar technician warned. It may destroy your brain. Wouldn't be the first time someone told me that, Jake said. Princess Zara insisted on maintaining the telepathic link with him. If Jake got lost in the hive mind, she would be his anchor back to reality. Jake put on the headset and felt his consciousness expand. Suddenly he could sense millions of Kethmaran minds all thinking the same thoughts, all moving toward the same goal: consume everything. He dove into their collective thoughts like a virus, introducing random ideas, chaotic impulses, questions without answers. The hive mind tried to isolate him, but Jake kept changing, becoming something new every second. Through his link with Princess Zara, he felt her guiding him, showing him weak points in the Kethmaran's perfect order. Together they planted seeds of doubt, confusion, individual thought. The effect was immediate. Kethmaran ships began breaking formation. Some stopped attacking altogether. Others started attacking each other, but the strain was enormous. Jake felt his mind being pulled apart by the alien consciousness. Just when he thought he could not hold on any longer, Princess Zara pulled him back to his own body. He opened his eyes to find himself on the floor of the command center, blood running from his nose. Did it work? He asked. On the screens they could see the Kethmaran fleet in chaos. Ships spinning out of control, firing randomly, some even retreating. It worked, General Morrison said with amazement. They're completely confused. But their victory did not last long. The Kethmaran hive mind began to adapt, cutting off the infected parts of itself like a body fighting a disease. They're regaining control. War Marshal Kex Nora reported. Jake struggled to his feet. Then we hit them while they're still weak. With what? Princess Zara asked. Half our fleet is damaged. Jake looked at the screens showing the scattered human and Veltar ships. Then he smiled. With everything we've got, all of it, at the same time, from every direction, a final assault? War Marshal Kex Nora asked. No, Jake said. A completely insane assault. The kind that no sane military mind would ever attempt. General Morrison understood immediately. A human assault. Princess Zara squeezed Jake's hand. If this fails, we all die. Jake squeezed back. If this fails, we die fighting like humans. There are worse ways to go. Outside, the mixed fleet of human and Veltar ships prepared for the most chaotic battle in galactic history. It would either save both their species or destroy them. Either way, it was going to be very interesting. Admiral Ryan Clark arrived with a fleet that looked like it had been assembled by a committee of madmen. Human ships of every size and shape filled the space around Veltar Prime. Some were military vessels, others were converted cargo haulers, and a few looked like they had been built in someone's backyard. Sorry we're late, Admiral Clark said over the communication system. We had to stop and pick up every ship that could fly. Jake watched from the command center as the human fleet took positions around the planet. They did not form neat lines like the Veltar ships. Instead, they scattered in patterns that looked random but somehow felt right. How many ships? War Marshal Kex Nora asked. About 3,000, Admiral Clark replied. Give or take a few dozen. Some of them are still deciding whether they want to fight or run away. Princess Zara looked confused. Your fleet does not follow orders? Oh, they follow orders, Admiral Clark said with a laugh. They just argue about them first. Makes for better decisions. Usually. Dr. Amanda Pierce had been studying the data from Jake's mind link with the Kethmaran. She ran into the command center. Looking excited and scared at the same time, I found, something impossible, she announced. Jake and Princess Zara should not be able to share a telepathic link. Humans and Veltar are completely different species. But we can, Princess Zara said. I can feel his thoughts even now. Dr. Pierce nodded. That's what's impossible. Your brain structures are nothing alike. The only way this could work is if you're both changing to accommodate each other. Jake felt a strange tingling in his head. Changing how? Your minds are adapting, Dr. Pierce explained. Creating new neural pathways that don't exist in normal humans or Veltar. You're becoming something new. War Marshal Kex Nora frowned. Is this dangerous? I don't know, Dr. Pierce admitted. But I think it's why the Kethmaran are so afraid of you two. You represent something they've never encountered. Before anyone could ask more questions, the alarms started ringing again. The Kethmaran had regrouped and were attacking both Earth and Veltar Prime at the same time. Two massive fleets, a technician reported. They're splitting their forces to hit both our homeworlds. Admiral Clark's voice came over the speakers. Well, that's inconvenient. We can't be in two places at once. Jake looked at Princess Zara. Through their link, he could feel her thinking the same thing he was. What if we don't have to choose? Jake said. Explain, War Marshal Kex Nora demanded. Princess Zara stepped forward. What if we combine our command structures completely? Jake and I could coordinate both battles simultaneously through our telepathic link. That has never been attempted, War Marshal Kex Nora said. Good, Admiral Clark said. If it's never been tried, the enemy won't know how to counter it. The plan was insane, even by human standards. Jake would command the defense of Earth from Veltar Prime, while Princess Zara commanded the defense of Veltar Prime from Earth. They would share every thought, every decision, every tactical insight in real time. Sergeant Danny Walsh had arrived with the human fleet, bringing with him a mixed unit of human and Veltar soldiers. He was a small, tough man who looked like he could fight a bear and win. My people have been training together, he told Jake. Turns out humans and Veltar make a pretty good team when they stop trying to be perfect. How so? Jake asked. Veltar soldiers are incredibly disciplined and precise, Walsh explained, but they don't adapt well to changing situations. Humans adapt constantly but sometimes lack discipline. Put them together and you get organized chaos. Jake grinned. My favorite kind. The telepathic link procedure was more intense this time. Dr. Pierce had modified the equipment to handle the connection between two different planets. As the device activated, Jake felt his consciousness expand across space. Suddenly, he could see through Princess Zara's eyes as she stood in the command center of Admiral Clark's flagship above Earth. At the same time, she could see through his eyes on Veltar Prime. "This is very strange," Princess Zara said, and Jake heard her voice both in the room and in his mind. "You'll get used to it," Jake replied, speaking to both the command center around him and to her across the galaxy. The Kethmaran attacked both worlds at the same time. Their strategy was simple: force the Alliance to choose which planet to save. They had not counted on Jake and Princess Zara refusing to choose. Jake watched the battle above, Earth through Princess Zara's eyes while simultaneously commanding the defense of Veltar Prime. It was like playing two chess games at once, except the pieces could think for themselves and the rules kept changing. Human ships. Scatter Pattern 7. Jake commanded the Earth defense through Princess Zara. At the same time, he told the Veltar fleet, precision strike on their command ship, then immediate withdrawal. The Kethmaran had never faced an enemy that could coordinate across multiple star systems instantly. Their hive mind was fast, but it still took time for thoughts to travel from one part of their fleet to another. Jake and Princess Zara had no such delay. Their thoughts were one thought. Their strategy was one strategy. "They're adapting to our Earth tactics," Princess Zara warned through their link. "Then let's give them something new," Jake replied. Through their connection, they began blending human and Veltar strategies in ways that neither species had ever attempted. Human unpredictability guided by Veltar precision, Veltar discipline enhanced by human creativity. Sergeant Walsh's mixed ground forces proved to be just as effective. When Kethmaran troops landed on both planets, they faced soldiers who fought with a combination of human aggression and Veltar coordination that was utterly devastating. "The enemy cannot predict our movements," War Marshal Kexnora observed with amazement. "They adapt to human chaos, but then we become Veltar order. They adapt to Veltar order, but then we become human chaos." But the strain of commanding two battles simultaneously was enormous. Jake felt his mind stretching like a rubber band about to snap. Through their link, he could feel Princess Zara struggling with the same pressure. "We cannot maintain this much longer," she warned. On the screens, Jake could see that both Kethmaran fleets were beginning to falter. Their perfect coordination was breaking down as they tried to adapt to an enemy that kept changing its fundamental nature. "Just a little longer," Jake said through gritted teeth. That was when Dr. Pierce made her most important discovery. She had been monitoring the telepathic link and noticed something strange. "The Kethmaran hive mind is fracturing," she announced. "Not just tactically. Actually fracturing. Some of their ships are breaking away from the main fleet." "What does that mean?" Admiral Clark asked. "It means they're experiencing something they've never felt before," Dr. Pierce said with excitement. "Individual thought. The connection between Jake and Princess Zara is teaching them what it means to be individuals instead of just parts of a collective." Through the link, Jake could feel it too. Some of the Kethmaran minds were becoming confused, uncertain, afraid, but others were becoming something new, something individual. "They're learning to choose," Princess Zara said with wonder. The tide of battle turned completely. Kethmaran ships began retreating, but not in organized formations. Some fled immediately, others hesitated, and a few actually stopped fighting altogether. "We did it," Jake said, exhaustion making him dizzy. "We actually did it." But even as the immediate threat ended, Jake knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had just witnessed something unprecedented. Two different species learning to think as one while teaching their enemies to think as individuals. "What happens now?" Princess Zara asked. Jake looked at the mixed fleet of human and Veltar ships, at the soldiers who had learned to fight together, at the beginning of something that had never existed before. "Now," he said, "we figure out what we've become." Through their link, he felt Princess Zara's agreement. They had started as prisoners of the Kethmaran. Now they were the first members of something entirely new in the galaxy. The question was, what would they do with it? The final battle began in a place between the stars, where space itself seemed darker and emptier than anywhere else. The main Kethmaran hive fleet had gathered there, millions of ships forming a wall of black metal that stretched across light years. Jake and Princess Zara stood on the bridge of their new command ship, a vessel that looked like someone had tried to build a Veltar crystal palace inside a human cargo hauler. Half of it was elegant curves and flowing lines. The other half was straight edges and practical machinery, held together with determination and welding. "It's ugly," Princess Zara said, looking around the bridge. "It's beautiful," Jake replied. "It's us." Through the windows they could see the combined fleet spread out around them. Human ships flying next to Veltar vessels, their crews working together in ways that would have been impossible just weeks before. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Webb commanded the ground forces from the ship's military deck. His soldiers were a mix of humans and Veltar who had learned to fight as one unit. The humans taught the Veltar to adapt and improvise. The Veltar taught the humans discipline and precision. "All units report ready," Webb said. "Though I have to say this is the strangest army I've ever commanded." "Strange how?" Jake asked. "Half of them think too much, the other half don't think enough. Put them together, and somehow they think just right." Dr. Amanda Pierce had been studying the enemy fleet with her instruments. "The Kethmaran hive mind is different now," she reported. "It's not as unified as before. I'm detecting thousands of individual consciousness nodes within the collective." Princess Zara closed her eyes and reached out with her enhanced telepathic abilities. "She's right. Many of them are confused, frightened. They're experiencing emotions they've never felt before." "Emotions like what?" Jake asked. "Fear, doubt, hope." Princess Zara opened her eyes and looked at him with amazement. "Some of them want to be free." The Kethmaran fleet began to move, but not in their usual perfect formations. Ships moved in groups that seemed uncertain, hesitant. Some vessels broke away from the main fleet entirely and simply stopped as if they were thinking about what to do next. "They don't know how to be individuals," Jake realized. "They've been part of a hive mind for so long, they don't know how to make their own decisions." Admiral Clark's voice came over the communication system. "Enemy fleet is approaching, but they're not acting like themselves. Should we attack?" Jake looked at Princess Zara. Through their telepathic link, he could feel her thinking the same thing he was. "No," Jake said. "We're going to try something that's never been done before." "What's that?" Admiral Clark asked. "We're going to give them a choice." The plan was so crazy that it took Jake 20 minutes to explain it to the other commanders. Instead of attacking the Kethmaran fleet, they were going to surround it and offer the individual ships a chance to surrender and join the alliance. "You want to recruit our enemies?" War Marshal Kex Nora asked in disbelief. "Not recruit," Princess Zara corrected. "Liberate. Many of them are prisoners of their own hive mind." Lieutenant Colonel Webb shook his head. "This could be a trap. They could be pretending to be confused to get us to lower our guard." "Maybe," Jake admitted. "But what if it's not? What if we have a chance to end this war without destroying anyone?" The combined fleet moved into position around the Kethmaran force. Instead of weapons, they activated communication arrays and began broadcasting a simple message in every language known to the galaxy. "To all Kethmaran vessels," Princess Zara's voice said across space, "you have a choice. You can continue to follow the hive mind and remain as you have always been, or you can choose to think for yourselves and join us in building something new." The response was immediate and chaotic. Thousands of Kethmaran ships began breaking away from the main fleet. Some turned toward the Alliance fleet with what looked like surrender signals. Others fled in all directions, seeking the dark spaces between stars. But the core of the hive mind, the oldest and most powerful Kethmaran, remained. These ships formed a tight formation and began moving toward the Alliance fleet with obvious hostile intent. "The original hive mind won't give up," Dr. Pierce observed. "They see individual thought as a disease that must be eliminated." "Then we'll have to stop them," Jake said. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. The hive mind fought with desperate fury, trying to reclaim the ships that had chosen freedom. But for every ship they tried to recapture, 2 more broke away from their control. Jake and Princess Zara coordinated the battle through their telepathic link, but now they had help. Some of the liberated Kethmaran had joined the Alliance fleet and were sharing their knowledge of hive mind tactics. "Fascinating," one of the former Kethmaran said through a translator. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "To choose one's own thoughts. To disagree with others without feeling pain. How did you learn to live this way?" "Practice," Jake said with a grin. "Lots and lots of practice." The final confrontation came when the core hive mind ship surrounded Jake and Princess Zara's command vessel. The ancient Kethmaran consciousness spoke directly into their minds, its voice like the sound of metal grinding against metal. "You have infected us with chaos," it said. "You have destroyed our perfect unity. For this you must die. We didn't destroy anything, Princess Zara replied. We showed your people that they could choose. Choice is weakness, the hive mind responded. Order is strength. Unity is survival. Jake felt the alien consciousness pressing against his mind, trying to force him back into the collective. But he had Princess Zara's strength to anchor him, and something else too. He could feel the minds of all the liberated Kethmoran, all the humans and Veltar who had learned to work together, all the individuals who had chosen to be part of something bigger without losing themselves. You're wrong, Jake said to the hive mind. Order and chaos aren't opposites. They're partners. Watch. Through his link with Princess Zara, Jake reached out to every ship in the Alliance fleet. For one moment, every human, Veltar, and liberated Kethmoran mind touched every other mind. Not in a hive mind way where everyone thought the same thoughts, but in a way where everyone could feel everyone else's unique perspective. The effect was overwhelming. The hive mind consciousness recoiled in shock as it experienced true diversity for the first time. Thousands of different ways of thinking, all working together without losing their individuality. This is impossible, the hive mind said, and for the first time it sounded afraid. No, Princess Zara said gently. This is choice. Some of the core hive mind ships began to change. Their black metal surfaces started showing colors, small lights that indicated individual thought. But others refused to change and fled into the deep space between galaxies, choosing isolation over transformation. Let them go, Jake said when Admiral Clark asked if they should pursue. Everyone deserves the right to choose, even if they choose to stay the same. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. The galaxy now had 3 major species, humans, Veltar, and the liberated Kethmoran, learning to live together. It was messy and complicated and sometimes frustrating. It was also wonderful. Jake stood on the observation deck of the new Joint Alliance space station, watching ships from all 3 species work together to build something that had never existed before. Princess Zara joined him, and he could feel her contentment through their link. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't met? She asked. Jake thought about it. I'd probably still be hauling cargo between colonies. You'd probably still be dealing with boring diplomatic meetings. Instead, we started a galactic revolution, Princess Zara said with a laugh. Yeah, Jake said, watching a Kethmoran ship dock with the station. Not bad for a day's work. Through the station's windows, they could see more ships arriving every day, former enemies becoming friends, different species learning to think together while staying themselves. What do you think happens next? Princess Zara asked. Jake grinned as he watched a human engineer arguing with a Veltar scientist while a liberated Kethmoran tried to mediate between them. Knowing our luck, he said. Probably something even crazier. Princess Zara squeezed his hand. I can't wait. In the distance, new ships were arriving from unexplored parts of the galaxy. Other species who had heard about the Alliance and wanted to see what this choice thing was all about. Jake looked at the stars and grinned. If this was what happened when he woke up with an alien princess, he wondered what tomorrow would bring. Knowing his luck, probably something even more impossible. He wouldn't have it any other way.